This is just a tiny example of all the ways the Democrat Party has stoked the flames of hate and anger and have caused all the violence in, well, recent times. If you have a family, friends that still, maybe they are on the edge, they have been Democrats all their lives, they voted for Kamala Harris, maybe they don't know what to do right now, maybe you think that they just need a little push, maybe you can send them this video, which is a very tight compilation of all the instances in which Democrats have directly and indirectly, well, cried for violence against their enemies. And this is the reason why we lost Charlie Kirk. So we have, for example, Senator Chuck Schumer. Political violence has no place in America because we need to highlight the hypocrisy, of course. It is because of Charlie Kirk's murder. This shooting is horrifying, and I'm praying for Charlie Kirk and his family. And you might remember him with this gem.
You have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you.
Well, maybe that one was too ambiguous, but we have better and more concrete examples such as Tim Walz. Remember, Tim Walz? I've made a couple of videos about him. An open forum for political dialogue and disagreement was upended by a horrific act of targeted violence. So weren't you the same who said that you have to get meaner?
I'm getting called out on this because I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator. It's because he is. It's because he is. Oh. The governor's being mean, and the governor's speaking out on that. Well, maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce.
You know that we can be here all day. Oh, Zohran Mamdani, this guy is about to become mayor of New York City in November. I'm horrified by the shooting of Charlie Kirk at a college event in Utah. Political violence has no place in our country, and it's the same guy who said Zohran Mamdani says globalize the Intifada is expression of Palestinian rights. Yeah, because I mean, I'm going to stop 10 seconds on Zohran Mamdani. If you could create the most outrageous socialist, like that you could imagine, something that is like a cartoon of a socialist that anybody would think that was just made up for maybe a fiction book. Yeah, this is that cartoon of a socialist, but this is a real life. This is a real life cartoon of a socialist, and he's about to become mayor of New York City. Let that sink in. We move forward. We have also Pritzker from Illinois. Low-life communist scumbag J.B. Pritzker incites violence and calls for Republicans to know no peace.
Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption, but I am now. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. They have to understand that we will fight their cruelty with every megaphone and microphone that we have. We must castigate them on the soapbox and then punish them at the ballot box.
All right, but also he says that, well, this, the shooting of Charlie Kirk was to blame on Donald Trump. Donald Trump was to blame on this. I'm going to fast forward to the part.
We've seen other political violence occur in other states, and I would just say it's got to stop. And I think there are people who are fomenting it in this country. I think the president's rhetoric often foments it. We've seen the January 6th rioters who clearly...
Something that they do over and over again. They push that violent rhetoric. They do that over and over again, and then they just blame that on Trump, of course. That's what they do. Let me see. I have another one. All right, this is not part of this. This one. Let me stop in this one. Brian Tyler Cohen, perhaps the largest YouTuber from the left. He said, "Oh, the Charlie Kirk shooting is beyond horrific, legitimately disgusted at the broken state of this country." And thanks to Bad Hombre, we know all the tweets that he said. Charlie got his marching orders and he's been a good, obedient boy. Nice work helping cover for PDF files, Charlie. Good boy, Charlie. Very good boy. Keep deflecting from Epstein with a major scandal about Clinton. Not Charlie Kirk admitting that his job is doing PR for the administration that's currently covering up a PDF ring. Charlie Kirk is now actively helping cover up a PDF ring. Disgusting. Remember when Charlie Kirk said to trust his friend in the government? Good boy, Charlie. The PDF files are grateful for your service. How many times is this guy tweeted this? It's specifically for Charlie Kirk, saying that he was covering up for PDF files. What do you think that makes to somebody who is on drugs, on meds, who is out of their mind, who is a crazy? How do you think this is gonna work? What do you expect? And even if I don't think that Charlie Kirk was killed by a lone crazy gunman, but by a group of people, this is stoking violence on Charlie Kirk or anybody who stands what Charlie Kirk stood for. It's the same. It's you are pushing the narrative. Not to mention this POS that now I'm not gonna play his content. Most likely that's gonna get a copyright claim. He says that our condolences go to his family. Okay, you were doing more or less well, Colbert. I'm old enough to personally remember the political violence of the 60s. When was Colbert? When was he born? He was born in 1964. So how does he remember the violence of the 60s? What a moron. This is, oh, I remember the political. You were sucking your thumb in the 60s. You liar. Violence not solve any political differences. Political violence only leads to more political violence. And I pray with all, and this is important, this is the aberrant action of a madman and not a sign of things to come. Was that some kind of a threat? Was he, I don't know, this is some kind of warning or what? Yes, I think that Count Dankula says it like it is. You don't get to spend, this is for Colbert, by the way, you don't get to spend a decade spewing the rhetoric of calling your enemies fascists, Nazis, subhuman scum, etc., and then post commiserations when they get popped off by some loony radicalized by that same rhetoric. You understand? Thanks, Count Dankula, for your service. And we couldn't leave Harry season out. He said, even though we don't have a suspect, a weapon, a motive, or anything of the sorts, people have declared war on the left and declared that Charlie Kirk's murder is the Democratic Party's fault. I hope people pushing this soon realize how dangerous this type of rhetoric is. And this is the same one who said, literally, Charlie Kirk is a sick, racist piece of trash. Just put the Klan hood on already, Charlie. And you might be asking, what was this replying to? He was quote tweeting Charlie Kirk saying that, well, 9/11 happened 24 years ago, and now we're about to have Zohran Mamdani, a Muslim, as mayor of New York City. So how about that? How does that work? Nobody understands that. I mean, I have to make a video about Zohran Mamdani. And what is wrong with the New Yorkers? I want to understand. I really, genuinely want to understand. Hassan Piker called for violence against Nick Fuentes. Today, he's using Charlie Kirk's death to cry about threats. In this case, we could say among influencers from the left, Hassan Piker is one of the largest as well. Months earlier, Piker encourages his supporters to kill a Republican senator. These leftists only know how to play the victim. And also, this is once repeated, Also, this guy called Morgan J. Freeman. No, this is not the actor. This is a guy on the internet who was in America. We must come together around in condemning the cruel and violent assassination of Charlie Kirk and become one nation that relies on the love and support of all its citizens. This terrifying cultural war and tribalism must stop. Let's come together and send our love to Charlie's family and friends. We are stronger together. And here's the same one who tweeted, I dream of an America with no, and he says, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Jim Jordan, Lauren Boebert, Elise Stefanik, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, Steve Bannon, Donald Trump Jr., Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, George Santos, Lee Zeldin. So, which one is it? Which one is it? You are either against violence or you are pro-violence. You know, oh, Jesus, but in many of these instances, they are being, vague. They're not calling directly for, you're going to tell me that people who were fooled so many times with things like the Very Fine People hoax that I debunked on this same channel, you're going to tell me that they cannot take any of these words and say, hey, you know what? I will take matters into my own hands and I'm going to do something really crazy to, do something about this PDF file protectors or something. That's what's going to happen. And that's what these people are calling for. And they should be exposed for it. But again, I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. Send this video to a friend or a family who is still a Democrat. Let's see if that can work out. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Bar Language Guy. Much love and bliss.